Yeah, I'm doing good. I love the water. It's really nice. It's a nice area. I love it. Oh my God. You know, when I was I mean, it might as well have been Rikers Island. It was remote. Nothing like tiny. Now it's a multi-million-dollar house. Now, some of it is still very there are little pockets.
Good morning, Gate City Rotary. How are we doing this morning? It's a beautiful day. Nice and cool outside. Couldn't be better. Tom Steers has our invocation this morning.
Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for Rotary. We thank you for Gate City Rotary. We thank you for members who initiated this club and members who have made this such a great club over the years, for all the many things that have been done, be it in this country or in other countries. We thank you for these opportunities and pray that we can continue to do so. We pray that you will add this food to nourish our bodies and us to thy service. We ask these things in thy name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, saying that.
Is this the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Tom, that was seamless, perfect, good job. Good start. Make me look good.
Yes.
Yeah.
38 members in attendance this morning. We have several guests with us. We have Richard Needham from the airport joining us this morning. And then Danny Farley's lovely wife, Mary Kate, is with us this morning.
That's it? Okay, fantastic. Got some great news just a few minutes ago. Those of you that have been at the club a while remember Richard. Richard heard that Guy is going to be president next year, and he wants to beat the rush, and he's going to rejoin our club. What's even better news is that Richard is an excellent golfer, and he's going to help us out in the golf. We'll be hearing more about that. Let's see, birthdays and anniversaries. Rick, I know you're here.
I tell you, we got a first day President Walt. As we say out in Oklahoma, we ain't got nothing. So no birthdays, no anniversaries, nothing. So there you go. That's your report today.
And that pronouncement has been made in Oklahoma many, many times.
We ain't got nothing. We're usually referring to Texas, though.
Hey. Let's see. We have several announcements. The Rotary Baseball Night is still Friday, July 26th at the Hoppers Ballpark. This is a big fundraiser for our district, and we have so far 0 people signed up to take their families. It's a Friday night. There's fireworks. Rotarians will be recognized, at least in bulk. There you go. Okay, I'm probably going to.
If anybody wants tickets, just say your name.
I'm probably going to go, but is anybody willing to go and watch the baseball game on Friday, July 26th? Check with your brides, check with your kids. Ask your kids if they would like to go see some fireworks. Let's see, Mark's not here today, but I wanted to make an announcement. Next Thursday, after the meeting, we're having a get-to-know Rotary little deal for any prospective members. So does anybody know of a member they would like to bring to the club to possibly add to this club's incredible membership? Got one or two?
I won't be here, but I will invite him to join.
Okay. Okay, great. We need a past president to talk for like 2 or 3 minutes. Rob, are you gonna be here anyway for that deal? Yes. Okay, good. If you could take care of that, that'd be wonderful.
I'll find somebody.
Okay. Perfect. At any rate, that'll be immediately following the meeting. It should last like 15, 20 minutes max. So it will not be a long deal or anything. But to give them an idea of kind of what they're getting into before we go any further. Billy, you're out. Yeah, having service projects coming up or anything?
Yes, good morning, everybody. August 10th, we're gonna do our first street cleaning, so be ready for that. I'm gonna try to figure out the sign up genius, so look for that today, and if you don't see it, I didn't figure it out. August 10th, though, put it on your calendar.
Fantastic, will do. District golf tournament, September 12th. We have a couple of commitments now. Captain Frank Cheney, Mr. Steady Eddie, down the middle every time, is going to be our captain. Congratulations, Frank. Just Richard is, as I said, very good golfer. Is one to play. David Lillard, I don't think he's here this morning.
He's playing golf now.
He's probably playing golf right now, 2-0. I think he's in a long drive tournament somewhere. He's playing right now. And so we will get a team together for that. Randy, I know you're busy that day, right? You already have, you're playing at Augusta that day or something? Okay. Any other announcements? Man, you guys are just dead today. This is
Does anybody see Rusty Hoffman?
such empty.
Okay. I have his cup and I'm trying to get rid of it.
He had a birthday last week, I think he's still celebrating.
Okey doke. We have a little bit of unfinished business from changing the guard. Several people in our club, more than one or two, actually have perfect attendance. And they weren't all there in attendance for the changing of the guard. But, and not all of them are here today, but we'd like to give out a whole bunch of these pins. We had 31 members in our club that had perfect attendance. And I think that's really pretty outstanding.
Yeah, it is.
At any rate, I'm going to call names, and if you're here, come up and get your pen. And if you're not here, then too bad you missed out. Judy Brumley, Bobby Christensen, Kim Dane, Howard Driggers, Matthew Foster. I know Charlotte's working on her perfect attendance. She'll make it. Chris Hampton. I didn't know that. Kelly Harrell, of course, is not here. Bobby Hassel is also making up. And Tony Schudmeyer, he's here. Dale Hopkins. Walt Howell, I had perfect attendance. Mike Hunt. Ralph Jones. Chris Justice. Chip, why are you not at the past president's meeting that's going on right now?
Is there a past president's meeting going on?
Apparently, none of them are here.
Oh, well. Nobody told me. Dan and I thought it was here.
I think there's a message there. Kim Kinka. Buster. Lewis.
I'm a past president.
There you go. Dale Meltzer. John Nozick. James Pegram. Lynn Person. Tom Phoenix. Justin Plummer. Justin's here.
Her name sounds a lot alike. Be sure I'm getting the right one here.
Dave Quinn.
Oh, that's true.
Gigi Renaud. Tom Richardson. Steve Scott. Give himself one. Tom Sears. Lisa Simpson. Chip Vale. And Tony Villiers, of course, is not here because he's having a baby. Actually, I think his wife is kind of get real close. And Mike Conrad. Yeah, Mike's here. Thank you for holding your applause till the end.
Happy dollars, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh, you got to say this.
Hold on a minute. First of all, I want to point out and try to figure out why all the women are sitting at one table. This was really one of these.
It says something.
We're making a statement.
Okay, all right.
Hey, what's she, chopped liver?
Yeah.
Oh, guys,
Buster, I'm sorry to bust up your protocol, but y'all didn't notice this morning, I was out in the lobby talking to one of my personal heroes, and I haven't kept up with him, and Mike Conrad, I was surprised you didn't jump in, but me and Robin and I were saying there's
Don't call me a personal hero.
Jerry Moore, who built the Appalachian football club really in the early part of the century, really was out here, just a humble, sweet man. We got to spend some time with him, so it was really.
It's a sign, Richard.
Awesome.
You're in the right place.
That's right. Yeah, thank you.
First off, this one's for Walt Howell. Now you know why the president's pen is probably past president's pen is the most coveted award. That's for Richard coming back. That's very nice. We had about 15 or 16 people at last night's 505. Had a couple of people who had never been to one before. Had 4, maybe 5 different clubs represented. It was a great turnout. We had fun. Very good. Come join us next Wednesday.
So 4th of July weekend, my wife and daughter and I went up to Boston and had a good time and got to see the Boston Pops play in the hat shell and their fireworks display, which was just phenomenal. The crowds were even more phenomenal, but the fireworks were pretty spectacular. And then we went to a baseball game Saturday night. And the fireworks were pretty damn spectacular too, so I'm just saying. Fireworks.
Oh, no, Lewis Logistics just passed a UL audit for GMP medical grade devices. And we have been AID audited before, and that's a pretty intense audit. This UL audit was probably 3 times as hard. It's an 8-hour audit where they go through your warehouse and every single document that you have and your processes. And so it was a pretty big deal, and we just had our follow-up audit on Friday of last week and passed it. So.
It's quite an accomplishment.
I just want to say that I really appreciate all my friendships in Gate City Rotary. Y'all are like my extended family. And I am looking for volunteers.
I think I need a salesman.
So I know you're all going to see me afterwards if you're interested in helping out with the fundraiser next year. And we've had a couple of meetings already to debrief from last year, some brainstorming sessions. So if you're creative, or if you didn't like something about the fundraiser, you would be the perfect person to be on my committee.
I loved it.
It was great.
And Tom Richardson's already volunteered, so.
I just want to say how much I love you guys, and I need somebody to help me paint my house. See me after the meeting.
We'll all be there.
This is the first meal I've had in 2 weeks in the haggis. So we just got back from Scotland, and it was just, I wanted to share with you guys what an amazing trip we had. We met Katie in Ireland and then followed her around for about 10 days. The child has managed to get a scholarship to drink beer and fiddle in pubs. So we watched her play 15 different pubs and with some really remarkable musicians. And I just want to tell you how well Americans are still received abroad. I've heard some comments from some taxi drivers about one American in particular, but the rest of us might be now.
Dan, you should tell them what your sister asked a Scottishman,
That's an extra
what he
dollar.
wears under his kilt.
Well, we've actually been, Richard and I are cousins. We've been up to McLeod Castle, which is there's the oldest family home in Scotland since it's been the same family for 800 years. They did not offer me free vision or lunch. So yeah, we're in the kilt shop, and Cookie just gets brave and says, "So what do you wear under the kilt?" He says, "Socks and shoes."
Well, Grandpappy Lewis, he had this great advice for when you're hiring a new employee. He said what they always did was when they'd hire somebody new, they'd bring them in, you put their hands on their shoulder, and they'd say, "You are special. And if you need any more affirmation than that, get a puppy because we have work to do."
All right, Dan, I think there's probably a psychology paper in Nature versus Nurture with you and Katie.
Yeah.
Something in there is that up.
Something's amiss.
So I have the honor of introducing Kim Stroble to our club. He's our speaker today. He's with the Greensboro Sports Foundation. He just joined them in January. Kim is following his role as president of the Greensboro Sports Commission. He'll explain all these different groups. I guess there's a little bit of nepotism there. Kim has a BA from Albion University. He also has a Master of Arts from Western Michigan University in physical education. He's worked in higher education for most of his career, including 20 years as an athletic director at Greensboro College. Kim is credited in helping to pioneer neutral site hosting for the NCAA. And he has many other credentials and honors. I can't read them all. It'd take a long time to take over the speech, so I'll let you go ahead. Y'all welcome Kim.
Thank you, guys. Pleasure to be here. I was here, I think, 3 or 4 years ago. I think Kelly Harrell was program director, and he brought me in. And
More than 4.
Was it more than 4? Not when he was president, maybe when he was. Anyway, I remember this club, being here at this Rotary Club, just how much fun you guys had. You guys just reaffirmed that this morning. It's great to see the humor and see everybody share their lives and parts of their lives with others, and to say that you love each other. That's pretty cool. So, again, not to belabor what Guy shared, I represent the Greensboro Sports Foundation, so we're going to talk about sports a little bit this morning. I am going to be very brief. What I want to do is to make sure people in Greensboro are aware of what is happening here in the #1 market in the city of Greensboro, and it's also the #1 market in Charlotte and Raleigh as well, and that's sports. The economic impact driven by having all of these visitors come to Greensboro, come to your community, and they don't come naked with just socks and shoes and a kilt. They bring a wallet and credit cards and so forth with them as well, and we like that a lot. They leave a lot of their disposable money here in our community. It's money that if they weren't coming here and being here with us, they would be spending that money somewhere else, in their hometown or in another community. So economic impact, I remember being really naive when I got into the industry, thinking that when I would hear they're going to have a $5 million economic impact, I was envisioning, had the big ceremonial check that there was a bank account somewhere that a bunch of money was being dumped into, and didn't realize that it usually has nothing to do with that at all. In fact, very little money comes to the city or whatever. It's what feeds the community, provides jobs, provides businesses a lot of exposure to clients and so forth, helps bring new businesses to our community and so forth. So let me tell you a little bit about the Greensboro Sports Foundation. Tell you at the back, this is pretty small, maybe you won't be able to see it. Some of you might be familiar with a group called the Tournament Hosts of Greensboro. It was started at and by the Greensboro Coliseum, or people associated with the Greensboro Coliseum. When you do major sporting events, like the ACC tournament, for example, the NCAA events, they allow you a certain amount of latitude to take care of them, to treat them well, be very courteous, very hospitable. It's very difficult in any kind of city government to make that work because all the red tape and how long it takes for things to happen. So Tournament Host was created. It was created, designed to be a kind of something that would be a magnet to draw volunteers, people who wanted to be kind of ambassadors for Greensboro when visitors came, and were there to meet them, greet them, and so forth. So it was incorporated in '93. Our mission is to try to promote our national reputation, and yes, if you don't know, we do have a national reputation, especially given our size city. For those of you that like to talk NCAA stuff, you have your major universities, you got mid-majors, they often call, like Coach Moore's App State, although they're big time now, or Greensboro College, which is not major at all. But you got different levels, but in that kind of example, Greensboro's a mid-major. We're not Atlanta, we're not DC, we're not Orlando, thank goodness we're not. We like who we are and what we do. Some of you, I've had a chance to travel the country visiting sporting events, visiting clients about events that we might bring to Greensboro, and I'll tell you, for our size community to have what we have in Greensboro, some people don't have any idea what a luxury that is. And I'll talk about that a little bit later as we go. But anyway, and last year we were rebranded, called the Greensboro Sports Foundation. There was some sense that we needed to have a central image, so the Sports Commission was rolled under the Sports Foundation. The Sports Council was kind of brought under that wing as well. So we all work together. In Greensboro, it's we're thin on staff. We don't have a lot of people that do what we do. We're a team. Just like a Rotary Club is a team, you guys pull together to do things together and make things happen. It's the same in Greensboro. We depend a lot on that. What are our objectives? For most major events, they require you to have what they call an LOC, or local organizing committee, and that's people who understand sports, understand what is supposed to happen, who can bring people who care about the sport, whether that's a local club or whatever it might be, pull them together to try to make something happen. I'll be telling you in just a couple minutes about a major event that will be happening here very soon that will be a good illustration of that. Noted that we serve as a blue ribbon place for volunteers. We talk about Southern hospitality a lot. We brag about it, we promote it, we believe it. It's one thing we think is unique about Greensboro is that we have people like you who do in fact care. They'll talk to people, they'll smile at them, answer their questions, they'll give them advice, whatever it might be. So we have a core of volunteers who keep coming back. Every event we do, they cycle back through because they really enjoy that opportunity. The Sports Foundation will serve as a financial platform. Greensboro has lacked a little bit of that. It's corporate level support. Of course, we know that that's changed in Greensboro a lot, the landscape. But communities like Charlotte and others have created more of a place where some of those corporate dollars and others can be put together, combined to make opportunities for some major events happen. And then we assist our Convention and Visitors Bureau with clients with bringing sporting events. It's just, when I got in this industry, I was shocked at what all was out there. We're all familiar with things we see on TV and things that we are accustomed to in major sports in our country, but the landscape is broad, and what is called sports, esports now is the latest thing, electronic sports, which I struggle with calling it that, but it is what it is. But it's a big landscape for sports, but we help them with clients because there's so much that comes to Greensboro that you and most people don't even know are here. You won't know it until you go to your favorite restaurant. Now there seems to be a line out the door, like where do these people come from? Yeah, that's usually when you're aware, oh, that there's a youth sporting event. We had one last week, a major youth girls softball event that took place all over Greensboro, Brown Summit, just all over the whole footprint of our sports base here. This is what people usually want to think about a little bit more, talk about what is the estimated economic impact. Since 2010, $1.37 billion, pretty big number. People are surprised about that. I get to speak to a lot of colleges and universities. I always have professors, and I'm one myself, by the way. I'm an adjunct at High Point University. I teach a night class over there once a week. But people are always skeptical about that estimated economic impact, saying that's so grossly overrated and exaggerated. And my point is always, well, okay, let's assume that it is. It's exaggerated, so let's assume it's only half of that. Are we okay with that? The answer is, of course we are. That's dollars and money that we would not have coming into our community otherwise. That 9-year average is 152 million plus. So we're proud of that. We try to share the credit in Greensboro because it takes a village, it takes a team for something like major sporting events to happen. But these are things that should matter to you as citizens of Greensboro or of the area. That in fact new dollars are coming in our community and being circulated. Where does it start? It starts, we're the same as every other city, community, area in the country. It starts with facilities. If you don't have facilities, you don't have nothing to talk about. There's no reason to meet with clients and so forth. So whether you're talking about up in the left-hand corner, the Coliseum complex, which again is cities that are 3 or 4 times our size would love to have the variety of venues that we have at that complex and the quality of venues. College University A&T, UNCG, our Bryant Park complex, a kind of aerial shot in that lower right corner, 20+ fields that are there. It's a new standard. We're just going through a renovation out at Bryant Park, making all those fields out there full-size fields, because that's now what is expected. If you want to compete for some of the major soccer events that are out there that do bring large numbers, that's kind of the new bar. It keeps rising. It was 16 and now it's 20. We actually now have 2 artificial turf fields out there as well, because when you do events, outdoor events are scary things because you're going to deal with weather and you don't know what that's going to do. And you make people really upset when you don't have a backup plan. So having those kind of facilities are important. Obviously, we got a little thing going on here in golf coming up in later this month in August, and of course the aquatic center, which I don't know if there's ever been a bigger home run in Greensboro than that aquatic center. I'll be happy to answer questions as we go along. This certainly doesn't represent all the clients or all the visitors that come here, the organizations. A lot of these are what we call NGBs, or national governing bodies. But this is just a sampling of those people that we visit with regularly, that we work with for some of their major events here. And then, of course, when you have major events, often you get to bring in some people of note and notoriety, whether it's Irving there or Katie Ledecky, who will be back in November, and we're swimming for a professional series of events that starts in Greensboro, whether we're talking the Wyndham with Tiger, or a national rugby championship, or a national swimming and diving. Great athletes come to us whenever we have these major events. We call our volunteers our VIPs. It's not an exaggeration. When we talk to to these rights holders, NGBs and others who own the events, they care a lot about this. If you cannot provide a quality volunteer base who are going to be there to support the event, they're not interested, because they understand for their type of event, the type of people who come to the event, that having people who put a smile on their face, who greet people, who are kind and friendly. Our Coliseum complex has, we think it's the top facility in the country for wheelchair support. We have a whole crew of volunteers who are waiting and they'll go out to the far reaches of the parking lot to help somebody get in the building. They take them to their seat. They'll go to the concession stand for them, and they take them back afterwards. So we like to go the extra mile in Greensboro with that hospitality in all forms. In the middle picture shows a lot of our, see people that are some of your ages, maybe a little older than some of you, but a lot of our more senior members in our community like our aquatics events. It's a lineup of people doing timing, and obviously in a state-of-the-art facility like that, we obviously have electronic timing that works 90% of the time. But in swimming and most sports, you can't do a do-over. Once you just competed an event, you can't say, whoops, we're sorry, the electronics didn't work. We're going to have to run that race again. You can't do that. So backup timers are important. A lot of times their information is never used, but when it's necessary, it's critical. And I brought a couple of slides of people. This is Scotty Hamilton, a noted Olympian in figure skating. And just what he said there, and just under pointing out, he said, I don't think another city in the United States could host this event better. That's very high praise for somebody of national note, international note for that matter. And when they brought figure skating, when we brought figure skating to Greensboro for the first time, we became the first figure skating site where we did everything under one roof. We had the main arena for the main competition. We had a whole nother full sheet of ice in the Special Event Center in what we call Hall C. And we actually had a third sheet of ice, very small, but not much bigger than this room, actually about half the size of this room, that we did in a fan fest area for exhibition and awards and so forth. But when I've gone to a lot of the figure skating events, and usually practice facilities are 20, 30 minutes away in some obscure place. So us doing that really was a major plus for us. This is a quote from Paul Brazeau from the ACC, the Senior Associate AD. You know, he talks about the ACC men's tournament being the best postseason basketball tournament on the planet. You know, that's strong language, but we like it because we believe that. I'll probably get a question about the ACC men's tournament. I usually do with groups. And of course, Greensboro's hosted that event more than everybody else combined, every other city. If you put them all together, they don't equal how many times we've hosted it. Obviously, the landscape has changed a great deal with the ACC in the last 10, 15 years. And those opportunities seem to be spread out more and less frequent. But we love on the ACC. I've always said they're, in my opinion, they're our biggest and best client in Greensboro, not because of the events that we bring here, but because of their reputation nationally. It helps us when we go talk to others and they say, well, I guess if it's good enough for the ACC, I'll bet it's good enough for us. So it's a big help to us. And then Coach Krzyzewski, we have a lot of the ACC coaches who are you know, really advocates of Greensboro. Obviously, the Tobacco Road schools, it makes sense. They're closest to here. They'd like to have every tournament be in Greensboro, but Coach Krzyzewski's been high in his praise, talking at Final Four-ish. We really make the environment for all of the teams very special. Even the women's tournament, if you haven't been to the ACC women's basketball tournament, do yourself a favor, just go once. You'll be amazed the quality of basketball that's played. The teams that play the first 2 days are the lowest seeds. It's almost like playing. And on those 2 days, one day we bring in about, usually it's anywhere between 5,000 and 8,000 elementary school kids. The next day it's a little bit smaller, but the middle school students. Those kids, I mean, they all get a pom-pom, they go in, and most of them root for every basket that goes in the hoop. Doesn't matter which team scores, unless they've been brainwashed by their teacher, which does happen. But it's a great experience, and it's about fan experience, and it's inexpensive. It's a very inexpensive ticket. So they do a mascot night on a Friday night where all the mascots of all the schools are there having fun with people. So make sure you take something like that in. I'm really part of why I'm visiting a lot of Rotary clubs and other clubs in the community, just to make awareness. Next year's a banner year in Greensboro in 2020. That's our lineup. That's just the first 3 or 4 months of the year. We'll have just some major events. Kicked off by figure skating, which will be the 3rd time we've hosted this event in Greensboro. We've been doing a lot of swimming and diving, both NCAA and ACC. I don't ever see us falling out of that rotation. We have a unique facility and a unique setup, and we're now about to open a brand new pool that's attached to the aquatic center, so we'll have 4 bodies of water in that facility. And of course, basketball. If you like basketball, 3 consecutive weeks of championship balls, 34 games in 19 days. So just back-to-back, the ACC women, ACC men, and then we host the 2nd, 3rd round of the NCAA men's tournament this year. All these kind of events, like not all of them, most of these events like these are events that you have to bid on. It's a bid process that you go through, and you're selected. So it's a very competitive environment for sporting events. If you want to join, I actually have some cards. If any of you want to take one with me that has this website on it. If any of you want to be a volunteer, or if you have children, grandchildren, others, usually most events require young people to be 16 years old or older. But we involve people of all ages, all stages of life at a part of our event. events that we do, and everything we do is self-selection. So once somebody is registered as a volunteer, they're simply on an email blast that we posted. We're now going through the Volunteer Center of Greensboro, a new partnership we have with them. But we simply put it out there. Here's an event coming up. If you're interested, click this link, and it shows you what the volunteer opportunities are. We try to make it simple for our volunteers. Our sweet spot's kind of a 3.5, 4-hour shift. Some like longer, but that's kind of what we're pretty stubborn about that, because we know people are volunteering, giving of their time, so they can't always give a full day. A lot if they do, they'll sign up to do shifts in a row. But that is our website. We're happy to have any of you come alongside us. I did mention I want to mention one event coming up, and then I'll do some Q&A with you. Starting next week, late next week, we will have the largest youth sporting event ever in the city of Greensboro, which is the AAU Junior Olympics. It's an event that we've been coveting for a long time. We've really been working with them, co-event relationship. They didn't think we were big enough, frankly. We're expecting over 18,000 athletes in Greensboro over about an 11-day period. The biggest chunk of those will be track and field, which we'll host over at A&T. They have a great facility there with the belt track and the surroundings. We're going to set a record. We think we're going to set a record. We know we're going to set a record for track and field. We think we're going to set an overall record of attendance. The record in your neck of the woods, I think down in Baton Rouge, was about a little under 12,000 track and field athletes. We got word yesterday we're tracking for 13,000. So big event, big time event that we'll have over there. It's streamed around the world through Flow Sports, and so it's all youth. These are all youth participants. In the Coliseum itself, we'll have another 14 sports. Some of them are crazy sports. The one I love the most, and we need a lot of help with because they demand a lot, is a sport called sport stacking. Any of you heard of it? Anybody? Well, a couple. Okay. If not, go to our website and you'll see a little. We do a little video for you, but it's the kids stack and unstack cups. It's almost like magicians. It's crazy, but it's festive. It's fun. All the volunteers, they give them a free set of cups so they can go to practice themselves. But that's a big event. We have everything from martial arts to swimming, jump ropes, baton twirling. We even have a cornhole this year in our event. So we have it there. And the only other event we're having not in those two facilities is over at Wake Forest at Kentner Stadium. We'll be doing field hockey, which actually is being run by USA Field Hockey. And it's it's an unusual event because most of these others people come as teams. It's not an individual sport, they come as teams. This one's kind of most of the best players in the country, high school players, almost like an all-star group. They come, they practice a half a day, and they divide the teams up and they play. And they have college coaches come in to recruit and so forth. So that will be going over in Winston. So big event. So if you have a favorite restaurant, get your reservations early because they will be dropping all over the city during that time. So that's what I want to share with y'all. I know we've got probably a couple minutes to answer any questions you might have. Yes, sir.
Are there any plans to upgrade Spencer Love for tournaments?
Great question. The question was, are there any plans to upgrade Spencer Love for tournaments? And most people aren't aware that in terms of clay courts, Greensboro has more than any other city in the state. It's been longer than that, maybe longer than 10 years ago, we recognized that we brought in some consultants to help us with this, but the race to have hardcore tournaments, it's over. We've lost. We don't have enough hardcore, so there's facilities. Cary, it's a great example where they've got now, I think, over 30 hardcourts there. We've got a facility in Georgia that has over 80. Clay courts aren't as plentiful. Obviously, it takes more maintenance and so forth, but Spencer Love has had 11. They're going through a renovation phase right now to where they'll be adding, I think it's 6 new courts and resurfacing every one of them. It's a facility that's been run down a little bit, frankly. It's been used a lot, and just there hasn't been enough put back into it. But they are going to be expanding toward what is now some of their outdoor fields, soccer fields, expanding that footprint. I have my own personal dream. I coached tennis for about 6.5 years as well, so I'd love to see us find people who absolutely love one of the real giants and heroes of Greensboro, and that's John Isner. I don't know if we'll have another John Isner certainly in my lifetime in Greensboro, but John is an incredible athlete and an incredible representative and loves Greensboro. But I hope at some point we have something to name after John to be a Spencer Love and would be a showcase. But we have a great relationship with North Carolina U.S. Tennis Association. Kelly Gaines was on my board. So yeah, it's underway, but we've got a lot of work to do yet.
I've been to a bunch of these events. I've actually volunteered as like the dentist for on call in case somebody breaks a tooth or something. Never been called, thank you. But the thing that I see, we have the hotels, we have the facilities. Lots of times we don't have the attendees, right? So they're like, these facilities are like half full. So I mean, do y'all have plans to promote attendance? Because that's, I'm sure that athletes want to see full stands.
Yeah, and obviously my brain kind of goes in a lot of different directions because some events are in fact the revenues do comes through ticket sales and so forth. In this whole sports tourism arena, percentage of events that are dependent upon ticket sales and so forth in this whole country is less than 5%. So most of our events actually are in fact youth or non-revenue type events. Where the revenue comes is when people come and stay in your hotels and go to your
family
and go to your there's a lot of family and friends, and because of our advancements in technology, a lot of these events I mentioned the track and field you could be over in Chile and watch the AU Junior Olympic track and field. A lot of those events will be streamed. The Wyndham Championship is streamed to 230 countries around the world. So that affects attendance when people can stay in their own living room and watch just about anything anytime. So there has to be a balance. There's some events where if you can't produce the fans or you can't fill the stands, chances are they won't be back or won't be back soon because that's kind of an expectation. But it just varies with the sport. Yes, sir.
Is there ever going to be another access in and out of the Bryant Park soccer facility, or is it always that one little road everybody has to go through?
I don't know if you heard the question. The question is there going to be we call it egress or ingress in and out of the Bryant Park soccer complex. All of you know we have to go across the railroad tracks to get in there. And they have been talking and studying that for years. I did my own research on that. The railroad is difficult to work with. They own it, and they make it very challenging. So every route we've ever taken, I've been a part of, has been stonewalled and not made possible. UNCG showed how to do it when they did their tunnel under the railroad tracks to get from the Lee Street side, now Gate City Boulevard, over to the campus. But they spent a lot of money to do that, and it was all their own nickel plus had to contribute. So anyway, I don't know, but it has been discussed. They've looked at properties surrounding there to be able to get off on some. There are some roads that most of you have never seen. I've never seen myself that are near there that if they could purchase that land, they might be able to do that. But it's a challenge. When we do a tournament there, we have to put a lot of time into that plan, and as you probably experienced it. It doesn't seem like it, because it seems like it's a good that, but it's certainly not.
It's a great place. It's just one way
tough.
in, one way out.
Yeah.
I will say it's always handled very well. I've spent a lot of time out there for the years.
Yeah,
and still, so you get some traffic, but it is, you can tell the work that's there to it, I think.
Yeah, and so they're trying to, I say, the renovations they've done out there are impressive. They just got a commitment for a C-Track grant from the CVB to put a new scoreboard at Pearson Stadium. So some upgrading there. We're talking to the Division I conference now about their soccer tournament being a part of that too. So we've done some major things out there. I was fortunate to kind of get involved with the rugby people. That was a new thing for me, and rugby sevens is really a popular thing now. But so we hosted the Rugby Sevens National Championship at Bryant Park about 4 years ago, which was all divisions of schools. It's not an NCAA sport, but people from all divisions were here, men and women. We've done lacrosse. Lacrosse is a sport that, Greensboro unfortunately has not kept up with. We've not done a good job as a community in developing the facilities and the opportunities for them. Lacrosse is where soccer was 25 to 30 years ago, just grassroots getting started, and now lacrosse has to kind of find places to do what they do, and they travel a lot to play. And we know if we have a dedicated facility, we would be the place, but we don't have. Winston stepped up over their BBT fields over in Winston. They do a lot of lacrosse there. Kernersville has some really nice facilities. Smith River facility and just across the state line in Virginia does a lot of lacrosse. So we haven't kept up, unfortunately. Anyone else? Okay, guys got one more for me.
The triad here, I'm moving from New Orleans where everything's centralized. Do y'all work with the other city, like that whole Kernersville thing, in developing like whole region sports? Like, when I moved here, there was some talk about Major League Baseball and stuff like that, bringing a team here.
Yeah.
Is there any interaction with High Point and Winston-Salem?
Yeah, there's definitely interaction. I've lived in Greensboro 30-some years now, and I always tell people, I said, I've heard the word triadism for a long time, and some of you in the business, you know this too, but triadism works in a lot of places in different ways, and in some ways there's a lot more cooperation and sharing than there was previously, but each of our 3 cities here are all unique. We're each different. I think that's something to celebrate rather than a fight against. But there's a real threat value. I won't mention which city, but I've had to kind of do, when I've supported their events, I've just had to be under the radar a little bit because they feel like we're the big dog and we knock all the puppies off the porch. And we do. I don't know, we sort of do. We don't try to do that, but we obviously have everything we need here in Greensboro. We've got enough hotel rooms. We have the facilities. We have the know-how and manpower to do what we do best, and not everybody can say that. So statewide, we were part of what's called the North Carolina Sports Association, so we collaborate with cities all over. We promote North Carolina. We happen to believe if one of us wins, we all win. So if an event is going to Raleigh, hey, great. People drive through Guilford County, someone will even stay here and visit family and friends and spend money here too. So we celebrate each other and each other's events. So we do compete, and we fight a little bit, but we do cooperate to some degree. So I know you're busy folks. I'll be happy to hang around this morning. Maybe you have other questions. If you